Hey, chica! Welcome to the Lovelda Show Women of Power podcast. The show where women share their personal power tools, the techniques, strategies, and ways of being which have enabled their business and life success. I'm your host, Lovelda Vincenzi, a female speaker mentor, speaker, and event host on a mission to unleash authentic, powerful female voices onto the world. In today's episode, we'll be uncovering the power tools of Nancy Depcik. We know that knowing how to be resilient during times of change and adversity can lead you to greater success and happiness. Well, Nancy brings over 20 years of speaking experience with a focus on leadership, resilience, and tenacity. She has empowered organizations to lead more effectively, foster positivity, and communicate more clearly. Her unique blend of humor, enthusiasm, and connection with the audience has landed her in the top 1% of speakers in an international speech contest where over 30,000 speakers competed. In her TEDx speech, she shares the one word that can change your life. As a professional keynote speaker and communication coach, Nancy has delivered presentations to Fortune 500 companies, numerous conferences and universities. She has also been featured in several magazines, including the Huffington Post. In addition, she has authored Your 30-Day Journey to Unshakable Success. In this episode, Nancy drops all kinds of truth bombs and actionable tools and techniques that you can be implementing to get past any adversity that you have going on in your life right now. Remember, all of the links shared in today's show can be found in the show notes. And the only way, I repeat, the only way to ensure you get your regular fix of this show is to click that subscribe button right now to make sure that you get updates as soon as a new episode is added. Well, that is quite enough from me for now. So, let's get on with the show. Welcome back to the Lovelda Show Women of Power podcast. Now, have I got news for you? Crikey, I don't even know what that means. I'm so buzzed and excited. It may just be because at the time of recording this is my human connection time, peoples. It is definitely my human connection time. This show could not be more relevant, actually, for the time in which we're in. My guest today is somebody who focuses very much on leadership and thinking and attitudes towards things, which, let's be honest, as business owners, there are times that we take a knock. Sometimes it's a knock because of something like a global pandemic. Sometimes it's just a general knock in business, and moving beyond that can be a little bit of a challenge. The other reason why I love my guest is because, honestly, I met her because she's pulled together. She's part of a women's network that they created themselves called Edge. And essentially, this is women getting together to create a speaking platform that therefore means that everybody does better. So it's a prime example of how if we work closer together, we can have even bigger results. So please welcome today, Nancy Depcik. Hey, Nancy.
Hi, Lovelda. How nice to see you. It's so wonderful to talk to you.
Do you know what? I couldn't do this show without having you on here because, and the timing, honestly, could not be any more right. Now, I don't know where we'll be worldwide by the time this episode airs, but in terms of when it's being recorded, I'm like, the universe don't lie to us, does it?
The universe is in a little bit of an upheaval right now. So I think this is perfect timing for the message that I spread. And hopefully by the time this airs, we are all in a better place.
Oh, hallelujah, hallelujah. But whether we're in a better place globally or not, let's face it, as business, anybody who decides, right, I'm going to step into doing business, we are going to have change and adversity probably come to us more than if we just stayed our pretty little butts and day jobs.
Not only in business, but in life. And we're experiencing that right now too. But change and adversity are here forever. It's the only thing we know that's constant. It's the only thing you can count on. And how you deal with that change, how you deal with that adversity helps you to keep your sanity. And that's what I'm hoping we're going to talk a little bit about today.
So there'll be people listening who are kind of like, okay, Lovelda, thanks for introducing us to Nancy. Who is she? Can we have a little bit more of your journey? I know you speak on stages quite frequently. That's your business right now, but that's not where you started. It was kind of an accidental business, wasn't it?
My business right now, I call it Unshakable Success. And the reason I call it that is because I really believe if you have the certain tools, the certain techniques, you can get through any challenge that comes your way. And those are some of the techniques that I share with people. So back up about 12 years, in 2008, it was a different scenario, but it was very similar to today, where there is so much turmoil in the world. Every day you wake up and you hear the news and you hear about doom and gloom, and businesses are closing, businesses are going out of business. And at that time, my life was very different. At that time, I was a real estate investor. I had a partner, and we invested in real estate, commercial real estate, in the state of Florida. Well, it's hard to think back to another crisis because we're in our own right now. But back then, in 2008, the real estate market fell apart. And at that time, I lost everything. I lost all my business. I lost all my properties. I lost my relationship. I lost my home. That was devastating. I lost my home. And you find yourself in a situation like many of us today. It's like, it happened overnight. I don't even know how this happened. Last weekend, I'm in Chicago having dinner with friends. 4 days later, all restaurants and everything are closed down. How did we even get here? So in 2008, that's the feeling I had. So my first thing was, I'll be honest with you, we've talked about this before. I had to stop watching the news because there was so much doom and gloom. I had to go out and find a job. And every day when you're thinking about this business closed and 6,000 people were laid off, how do you find the energy to even get out of bed, let alone go get a job? So I found a job, different than a career. I found a job. And while I found the job, I joined a group called Toastmasters, which is a group of people that you go and give a speech, they critique you. I had no reason to go see them other than I believe in the rule of three. If you hear something 3 times, you need to seek it out. You need to research it. So the third time I heard the word Toastmasters, I Googled it. I went to a meeting. One thing led to another. Started joining contests, winning contests, and someone called me up and said, "What do you charge to speak? I've seen you in a contest. What do you charge?" That was the beginning of my new career. Had no idea that this could be an option. So I got an income tax return. I split it in half. I hired a speech coach, and I joined something called Speaker University that teaches you how to make speaking a business. Once you have a goal, all these opportunities open up to you that were always there. You just never noticed it. So suddenly I joined a mastermind group of professional speakers only. I joined an advanced Toastmasters group where only professional speakers speak. I started surrounding myself with other professional speakers who helped me on my way. And it took about a good 2 years and my new business was formed.
Wow. So you are not, like, this is not a new scenario for you in terms of the times we're in at the moment. But it's wonderful also to hear of 2008 when all of these, I mean, being in property in 2008, it was one of the, it was a challenging space to be in, really challenging space to be in. And to turn that around into a new career, almost somewhat accidentally and somewhat serendipitously, that's the word, is really quite inspiring to hear of. I'm going to take this in a slightly different direction for a moment. For speakers, people who are speaking right now or aspiring to speak, perhaps they're really early on and it's like slap in the face, like just getting started. Events are closing down, something chronic, or they thought it was difficult before, or they've got a little bit of momentum and it now just feels like, what do I do? What's been your experience so far, and what are your thoughts around the potential opportunities for speakers despite the challenging landscape?
it's extremely challenging now because we don't know where this is going to end.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have some presentations scheduled for June. I don't know. I'm not sure if I'll be able to speak in June. So look at this as a time to fine tune what you already have. Look at this as a time to fine tune those speeches. If your speeches aren't already written, this is a time to start writing them. It's a great time to use the phone or video conference calls like this and share them with your other friends whose opinion that you trust. And then you can give your speech and then they can critique you. It's a time to update or build your website. And I have to tell you, I started thinking about this morning because I suddenly have a lot of free time. And I have started a book. And I never wanted to finish the book because I want to be on stage. I love being on stage. I love seeing the faces of the people in the audience that I know I've influenced. Well, you know what? This weekend, I'll probably be pulling out that manuscript that I've started, and maybe this is the time I finish my book. So you don't have to give up on your business. You just reroute it for a little bit. You fine tune it right now.
I couldn't agree more. I've been saying to people, look, if there's one thing speakers don't have, especially the really successful ones, is time. You know, you're on planes, you're off planes, you're prepping, you're ready for this and that and the other.
Right.
And often what that means, unfortunately, is there's a lot of referral business. Lots of referral business. People see you, they book you. But outside of that referral space, actually, without the strength of those referrals, you may well struggle because the profile just doesn't match where you're at. You know, you just haven't had time to sit down and do the website or pull the video footage together or whatever it is. All of those things, you know, the admin-y stuff. I've been busy as heck with them. Like update my testimonials on the website, move this around, move that around. And I prefer to be active. So for me, I love hearing you say that because that's pretty much where a lot of my attention's been diverted. And I just want to kind of put that out there for people who, you know, whether we're still in that time or not, there's always something that happens, right? This just happens to be an extreme version of it for this industry. But there's always something you can do in that period as well. We don't have to sit back and put a pin in the business or divert the business to something entirely different. I've heard a lot of people talking about moving online. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I have to tell you, one of the main things I want to do is organize my leads. I get so many leads from different people, and depending where I am, the lead could be on the back of a business card. It could be on a torn off piece of paper that was on my table. It could be in my notebook, one of my 10 notebooks that I have. So what I want to do is go through all these little pieces of paper and organize my leads. So when this is over, and it will be over, I can hit the ground running. That's the idea.
Great time for prepping, sales prep, or marketing and branding. Like just double down on those things. Use all this time really effectively to move those things forward. Could not agree more. So this is called the Women of Power podcast. And therefore, what we're looking at is powerful things we can do as women. But before I dive into that, I like to baseline this conversation by understanding people's definition of power, and in particular, people's definition of powerful women, because it's not the same to all of us. So what is it you think makes a woman powerful, Nancy?
It's interesting you say that, because the first thing that popped into my mind is someone who doesn't give up. And maybe that just kind of goes on what we just said, goes on the tail end of what we just said. But you just don't give up. And there are times in our own life when we're exhausted, we're tired, we're defeated, but you find a way. And where do you find that courage from? Where do you find that strength? For everybody, it's different. Mm-hmm. I'm an extrovert. I find my strength in other people. So whether it be friends, whether it be meeting you, we just met a couple months ago, meeting someone like you, I find my strength in other people. And I think more so when other people helping me, I find my strength in helping others. And when I talk to someone and they say, oh, that really helped me, or that's a great idea, I feel like, wow, I've got something of value to offer. And so just never giving up, to me, makes women powerful. I have a lot of very strong females around me. And I have to tell you, growing up, my mother and I were like oil and water. But now I look back, and she was my greatest example of all of a strong woman. And I look at how she got through her day, and I don't know. I really don't know how she did it. But boy, what an example she set.
And that's not to say that we need to necessarily walk away from or hide our emotions. Like, you know, sometimes have that cry if you need to have the cry. Like, let the tears out, feel the emotion. But it's this bit of kind of getting back up and not letting the dream or the vision die, because right now in this moment, it's a bit tough.
Yes, and I think you're really, really good. What you said is excellent, because I think when we show our own emotions, it shows how human we all are. I don't want to talk to someone who's perfect all the time. I don't want to be married to someone who's perfect, because then that means I have to be perfect, and I don't want to be perfect. It's what you do when you stand up. It's what you do when you've been knocked down. How do you get back up again? I thought that was key. You said it all.
So now that we know what power looks like, it's this ability to kind of step back up and keep going despite what's going on. And what I'd like to understand is from you, because you've demonstrated that yourself in just the building of this career as a speaker after a real estate career, the ability to do that. So for you, when it comes to, if you had to sit down and tell me what were the three things, like your three power tools, for you to take your whole life and boil it down to three primary things that are, these are the defining moments, the defining strategies, the defining ways of being, the defining tools that I've had that have made me who I am, what would they be? Such a mean question, isn't it? So mean.
Three. You want three? Okay.
Only three.
Let's take three.
Take your whole life. Let's boil it down into 3 points.
Only three. Number one for me is your attitude. And we hear it all the time. Have a positive attitude. Look at things with a positive attitude. But how? When you're going through a really rough time, whatever your rough time is, it's hard to get that positive attitude. So I really think that knowing those techniques of how to, what I like to call flip the switch, is key. So if you're going through the craziness we are right now in our world, if you're going through some sort of illness or a divorce or a death or lost your job, we're going to see some of that coming up as the ripple effect goes along, knowing how to flip that switch and look at things and see it the more positive way will help. And I can't let this moment go without giving you an example.
Please do, because that's exactly what I was going to ask for. Because I know for me, right, when I'm in it, and it is not a nice place to be. Like in it, everything's gone down. All I can see is problem. Like I almost want to, excuse the language, bitch slap the person who tells me.
Just to say be positive. Yes, I get that. I'm going to share with you, this is what I do in my speeches. The word positive attitude tends to have sometimes, as you say, a negative effect, because people are like, really, give me a break. You know, I'm in the middle of a crisis here. So I like to always leave my audience with something they can actually do. One of the greatest lessons I ever learned was from my brother. I believe in the power of storytelling. So a lot of my speeches are storytelling. So this is my brother who actually tricked me into my first roller coaster ride. It's a funny story that I tell usually in my openings to get my audience to laugh and to be comfortable with me. But then I go on years later, my brother passed away. He passed away 10 years ago now. And when I first got that call, I was in the middle of having lost my business, lost my job, lost my relationship, and now I get a call saying, come say goodbye to your brother. He has 2 weeks to live.
No.
And I'm in this downward spiral going, really? Can you throw any more crap at me right now? And so I went to see my brother, and he was very cordial and helping me write my resume, and he's laughing. And I looked at him and I says, Tom, aren't you scared? And he says, no, I'm not scared. I'm curious. And I asked him what he was curious about. And he says, I'm just curious to see what'll happen next. So when I came back to Chicago and I didn't have my job, and poor me, and what am I going to do? And there's no jobs to be had. I remembered my brother's word curious. And I thought, if it can make him feel better in the final days of his life, I want to see what it does for me. So instead of saying I'm scared that I'm losing my job, I replaced that word scared with curious. And I thought, I'm curious what my next job will be. And I lost my home, so I was devastated, absolutely devastated. I took that word devastated and I said, I'm curious how I'll decorate my new home. So it didn't solve the problem. I still didn't have a job. I still didn't have a home. But it flipped that switch so I could start to look at opportunities rather than be burdened with all of these obstacles. The obstacles were still there, but using the word curious helped me to get out of bed in the morning, helped me to look for that job, helped me to look for that new home, wherever it may be, wherever it may be. So that's one of the many lessons. Every Tuesday I post a blog. You can find it on my website. And my blogs are always positive attitude. What can you do to make your life more positive? And again, I try to stay away from those words because people are like, bleh. So I offer techniques, tips, tricks to help flip the switch, to help you get through the day, sometimes to help you get through the hour. So that's one of the examples.
I love that. I had a mentor of mine, and the way that she positioned it with me, and I've always found it quite helpful. It's remembering to use the tool though when you're in the midst of stuff. That's the hard bit. Like you're in the midst of it and you're almost addicted to being upset with yourself. No, this isn't right and that isn't right. But she used to say everything's a gift. And I again, I wanted to bitch slap her in that moment too. I'm coming off like a very violent person, but I did. I just thought, you know, because how's it a gift when all of these things are coming at you? But you replace gift with an opportunity. And so when I'm looking at a cancellation of a speaking engagement, it's gifted me a week of additional time because now I'm not traveling. It's gifted me the opportunity to do more podcasts. It's gifted me the time to work on my show reel and that sort of stuff in the background. It's always looking at, look, every situation, whether we define it or good or bad, there's always two sides to it. And we can either have our blinkers on looking at what's really great and how this is a great thing, or we can have a look and say, well, you know, here's all the things that are wrong. I'll tell you which one makes you feel better.
Right. Another short word when we are going through a tough time and you have a negative statement you're telling yourself, a negative statement is to end that statement with the word yet. I don't have any speaking engagements yet. I haven't finished my book yet. I haven't finished my book yet. My trip was just canceled to Ireland to visit my friend. And I haven't been able to visit my friend in Ireland yet. So it gives you hope. Be careful with that, though. You don't want to put it on the end of something negative and then pull negative energy. This is where you are trying to pull something to you where you're giving yourself hope, realizing that for right now it's on a pause. But it's not gone. It's not finished. It's not over.
That glimmer, just that little glimmer of light in what feels like darkness.
Yes.
Positive attitude. So that's your number one.
Yes.
And number two?
Number two, you know what, you just touched on it a little bit. We're all very hard on ourselves. We're much harder on ourselves than we are on anybody else. And if anybody else was as hard on us as we are on ourselves, we'd tell them to hit the road. So we are really hard on ourselves. So we start we hear all these words no from outside of us. No, you're too old. No, you're not talented enough for that. No, you're not qualified. But the worst no's of all are the no's we tell ourselves. No, I'm not thin enough. No, I'm not strong enough. No, I'm not talented enough. No, I'm not good. Whatever it is. And how do we quiet those no's? You'll never get rid of them. Never, never, never get rid of them. So how do you quiet them? And I believe this is something very simple we can all do now, because now we have a little bit more time. Music really helps. Music. Find music you really like, music that makes you happy. It could be classical. For me, it's the music that makes me want to dance, and make a playlist of only the music you love. And when you're having a crummy time, play that music. It will physically make a change in your body. So when I went through and I lost my house, I had to move into this really old apartment. I had a boombox, a boombox with no antenna, so I couldn't listen to the radio. But I had heard a song by Sugarland called I Ain't Settling, and I loved it. So I went out and I bought that CD, and I would play it at the top of the volume as loud as I could play it. I had no furniture, but I had wooden floors and a pair of socks. So I go running through the house. Yes, sliding through the house screaming, I ain't settling for anything less than everything. And for the amount of time that song played, I couldn't hear those no's in my head. It was a little timeout. And there were days I would play that song 10, 20, 30 times, anything, just to calm those no's, so I could go out and get that next job, so I could get dressed and have some sort of sanity in my day. So that's another little tip that I love to share.
Love that. Gift yourself the things you love so that you can get yourself out of it. For me, it depends on the moment. Sometimes it's dancing around the living room.
Yes.
Party for one. Party for one. It's the best party, but unfortunately it's VIP only. And the only people on the guest list are me, myself, and I. The other one is I love a good long bath. Oh, I could lay in the tub.
Yes.
I've been known to be there for 5 hours. Don't ask.
No, you can't. You can't. You'd be all shriveled up.
I can. I even have one of those, like I'm giving all kinds of deets. I even have one of those. I saw somebody on Instagram with one of these things in the bathtub. That's like a little table. Had my husband buy it for me for Christmas. I go in there. I've got my table set up. It's got a place for a wine glass. It's got a place for your tablet. I'm happy as Larry. External charger for my phone. I'm in there having the time of my life.
Wow. That I have to look at. I have the nice cushion pillow behind my head.
Oh, I have the pillow too.
Yes. Yes.
You've got to have the pillow. Now we're off track again. But anyhow, you got to have the pillow. You got to have the table. The table is when you're taking stuff real serious. You can get them on Amazon. Now I'm going to have to post a photo of me with this flipping table, like my setup. Then I have the candles. I have incense. Like I go nuts. I have my Epsom salts. Yeah, me in a bath. Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah. On a bad week, I'm practically in and out of the tub. Like one day I was in there like 3 times. I got up in the morning. I was like, it's bath time. I'm not feeling today.
And you've got a lot more time these days with the cancellation. So there you go.
But I like this idea of it doesn't matter what that looks like for you, but gifting ourselves that moment of sanctuary and sanity and whatever that looks like, that just allows us to block out the crazy for a moment.
Yes.
Like I go in the bathroom, I dim my lights, get my candles, jump in the tub. It's like the rest of the world is not here no more. I'm just operating in my own space. So that's cool. Like finding something, being able to flip the switch.
Yes.
Tone down the nose, drown them out if you have to. Give yourself something else to focus on. What would be your number 3?
My number 3 really, and this is going to be a little challenging now because a lot of people are distancing themselves from other people right now, but helping others. Helping others. When I was going through the hot mess of my life in 2008, I can tell you now that I survived 2008, what's happening today in our world, it's Yes, exactly. It's much easier for me because I know I survived that one. And for me, where I was at that point in my life, that one was so much worse than where I am today. So once you've been through a crisis, you know that you can survive it. But one of the only things, or one of the many things that helped me back then is I volunteered. And at that time, my self-esteem, my felt self-worth was so low. I felt like I was worthless. I found out I had a girlfriend actually who brought over an application for volunteer work. And I says, "You're crazy. I have nothing of value to offer anyone else. Nobody wants me." One thing led to another, and I met a little old lady, a 90-year-old lady named Jerry Franklin. She's no longer with us. And I started volunteering for her, and she couldn't wait to see me. Every time I came in, she was so excited. She gave me a big hug. She called me her angel. She couldn't wait till I came back again. And talk about flipping the switch. It was like floodlights went on. And all of a sudden, I felt that I was worth something and I had value to offer. It changed my life. So in this atmosphere, find some way to help others, to reach out to others. I was not raised with technology. So I struggle with social media, but I can tell you I'm going to start posting a lot more things on social media about how to calm the craziness, how to keep your sanity, and I'll try not to use the word positive attitude, but how to have a positive attitude through this. And I want to start reaching out to other people that way. So find a way that you can help others in any way possible. And man, it'll come back to you tenfold.
I mean, it's, to be honest, you've got all this time, reconnect with old friends, call business associates and if they need any assistance, check in with your friends, have a brainstorming session together in terms of things that you could actually really do in this sort of time frame. Let's look out for each other. You might not be able to, depending on where you are in the world, and it may be at the time this goes out, it's all kind of settled, but the point still remains that in a time in which we may be feeling really disconnected because there's so much chaos in our lives, actually just reconnecting, having some human connection time can really help to transform that.
And you know what? Even if this is settled by the time this airs, and when this settles, because we know it will, these points can apply to any challenge you face in your life, because that is one constant you can count on. There will be challenges. And it's how you face them and the tools you have in your back pocket to help you get through the challenging times. So these are some things that I like to share on the stage and my blogs, on my videos. I have lots of videos out there that can really help people. In fact, some of the things we share today, I do have videos on them now that I think about it. And it's things you can always use in your life.
I love the practicality of your tools and tips and the examples, and there'll be people listening, some of whom may be going through quite challenging times at the moment and could do with a little bit more of Nancy. Just put it this way.
I love that.
Want a little bit more connection, kind of feel like, I could do with a bit more of this woman in my life because she's giving me some good vibes. So for those people who want to seek out your blogs or watch some of your videos, see you on social media, what's the best way of getting in touch? And folks, it's all in the show notes as well, so you can click on the links below too. But I want to hear it as well, in case some people can't wait. It's like, I need it now. So if you want to just type it in now, Nancy, where do they go?
Well, my website is my name, nancydepcik.com. So it's NANCYDEPCIK.com. And then there's a tab that says blog. So there's all my blogs. Yesterday I just posted, I think it's my 250th blog. Now my blogs are short and sweet, usually 200 to 300 words. They're very conversational, and you can easily scroll through them, pick and choose. There's blogs on gratitude, all sorts of things that can help you through challenging times. On LinkedIn, I am on LinkedIn, and again, I post articles and I post posts. I put posts on there, And sometimes I share things within the speaking world or things more business related, because that's what LinkedIn is. But because my heart and soul is with positive attitude, I also post articles on there to help you find success, whatever your definition of success is. And then Facebook. And I have both a personal page and a professional page. I'm going to ask if you go on my personal page, let me know you heard this video so that I will accept, because sometimes I don't always accept on my personal page because I don't know who these people are. So those are the only ones I'm on. I'm not on any other social media because I can barely keep up with LinkedIn and Facebook because I'm a phone kind of gal. I'd rather talk on the phone, and that's where I spend most of my time connecting.
And ain't she good to talk to, eh, folks? So all of the links are in the show notes. Thank you for all of the perspective, shall I say. I was going to say positive vibes. That's also right. But it's also the perspective that you've provided in this session, just to share quite practical things that people can do. Before we wrap up, Nancy, what would you want to leave us with? Like, if there's one thing that people really take from this, what would be your passing thought?
Before I do that, YouTube. I have videos on YouTube also. So those will help, and short videos. Passing thought. I'm going to leave you with this very short phrase. What you focus on grows. If you focus on the negative, that's going to grow. If you focus on the positive, that's going to grow. And every morning when you wake up, you have a choice. Only you can make that choice. What are you going to choose? Are you going to choose to have a good day, a positive day, or are you going to choose doom and gloom? It's all up to you. What you focus on grows.
And it's a choice. It is a choice. So choose wisely, because you are in control of whether you're going to give all of the attention to what my friend likes to call the chimp brigade, or whether you're going to give all of your attention, or whether you're going to give all of your attention to things that are going to help to pull you forward in a forwardly direction. This has been the Lovelda Show, Women of Power podcast. Make sure that you subscribe so you get updates for anytime we go live. It'll go bing right in your inbox. Subscribe and click that little notification button. If you haven't hopped across to the YouTube channel yet, do that, because it's all well and good to listen on the move, but sometimes it's good to watch us in action. I mean, my faces, they'd be funny. Until next time, pick what you focus on grows. Choose what you focus on. We'll see you in the next episode.